next thing we're going to talk about is something called standard deviation and variance. So deviation, simple definition for deviation is that it's going to be the score minus the mean. Okay, so we're going to be given a set of scores. We're going to figure out the mean, and then we're going to subtract. That's going to give us the deviation. Once we've got the deviation, then we're going to find the variance. The variance is going to be the average or the mean of the squares. So we're going to square those deviations and then find their mean. And when we get there, I'll explain why we're doing the squares, not just the straight numbers. All right. And then the last step is we're going to find the standard deviation just by taking the square root of that number. So whatever we end up getting for the variance, we're going to take the square root of it. Okay? So this is example number 2. This is going to be history test, scores. All right. And so here are a list of the scores. Somebody got a 94. Sweet. 89, 86, 82, 75, 72, 71, 63. You spelled score wrong. All right. So there's all the scores. The first thing we want to do is find their mean or their average. Okay, so we add them all up. Get your calculator, punch these all in. You should get what? Anybody got it yet? A number? I got 632. Then I take 632 and divide it by what? 8. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers there, so I divide it by 8. Somebody punch that in their calculator. 79. Okay, so 79 is the mean. All right, so we've got the mean. Now we can get the deviation. So next to each of these numbers, I'm going to create a second column and get their deviation. Deviation just means how far from the number of the mean are they, right? So if somebody got a 94 and the mean is a 79, how far away is that? 15. 15 in a good way or 15 in a bad way?
Good way.
Good way. So I'm going to put plus 15. Okay. Then somebody got an 89. That's 10 in a good way. 86, that's 7 in a good way. 82, that's 3 in a good way. Then we've got somebody who got a 79. How far away? Sorry, 75. How far away from 79 is that?
4.
4 in a good way or a bad way? Bad way. So we're going to put minus 4. This one should be minus 7, minus 8, minus 16. All right, after we've got the deviation, now we're going to get the variance. So for the variance, we need to take all of these deviations and square them and get their mean. So we're going to take 15, square it, 10, square it, 7, square it. It is. 3, square it. Then we get to negative numbers, negative 4 and square it. What happens when you square a negative number? It's still positive. Okay, so we're still calculating how far from that mean they're going to be. So it's like kind of like the absolute value, it's going to make it positive. Okay, plus negative 7 squared plus negative 8 squared. Can I squeeze that last one in there? Plus negative 16 squared. Yes, barely. Okay. All that divided by how many were there? 8. So If you square all these in your calculator and add them together, you should get 768 divided by 8. I got 96. That's the variance. And then all you have to do for the last step, for the standard deviation, is take the square root of that number. So standard deviation is just the square root of 96. And they usually want you to round to the nearest tenth, so I got 9.8. But sometimes they'll say hundredths, thousands, whatever, just pay attention to that. All right?